Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to Sounds Like Home. I'm Andrea Swensson, host of The Local Show. This is our fourth installment of our virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. And right now, I'm so excited to be joined by an artist who has been very busy in quarantine recording new music. Monica LaPlante is here. Hey, Monica, how are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm all right. Can you introduce us to your little kitty there?
This is Gary. While I was setting up, hi. Oh, you got a foot.
Aw.
While I was setting up, he just decided to make a nest on this blanket and pile of scarves and didn't move. So this is where he's chosen his nap time.
I love it. That's one of my favorite parts about doing this and connecting with people in their homes and rehearsal spaces is we get to meet the pets. We get to see what else is
Oh,
going on.
yeah, he fell
So,
asleep. So put a bandana on him just to
oh,
fit in with everything.
I love it. So you have been busy this quarantine making new music, and I want to talk to you about that and some other things that you've been up to. But we'll start with the performance of a song. Is there anything you want to say specifically about Compression, the first song you're going to do?
This is definitely the first song that I wrote when everything started to lock down. Um, I would say it's kind of a reminder to myself to calm down and, try to figure out how to breathe again. I get a lot of, I've always had asthma growing up, and it's very anxiety induced asthma. So all of a sudden it's like, is this COVID? Am I just stressed out? I don't know. And I just wrote a song about it because sometimes that's the only way I can figure these things out. and might as well release it while it's still relevant to everybody.
Yeah. Well, I know on the recording of the song that you released, you were performing all of the parts yourself, which is so cool. Who are we going to see playing with you for the festival today?
Yes. So we've got Christy Costello on bass, Orion Treon on guitar, and then we've got Austin Cecil on drums.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you guys take it away. This is Compression, Monica LaPlante here on Sounds Like Home.
At first I was fine, no trouble spending my time watching movies, drinking smoothies, doing yoga online. I always said in my mind that I was wasting my time. Bills and cable, waiting tables, still I'm dead inside.
If you're just joining us, this is Sounds Like Home, the Currents virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. And right now we're listening to performances by Monica LaPlante and her band. Monica wrote that song Compression at the very beginning of quarantine. And Monica, I know you've been quite productive this quarantine. I'm always really impressed when an artist can turn to music and express things immediately. And this year has been so overwhelming. There's just so much to process. But can you tell me a little bit about, your approach to making music in such an unusual year?
Sometimes I feel like I only work under pressure. And so if I give myself these mental deadlines and just like you're at home, you're not doing anything else, like it's kind of given me a chance to be just a full-time songwriter. And it's been great to have that opportunity and just to figure out, how many songs I can write. And, while I have, who knows how long I have this opportunity to be at home. So I'm just trying to write and work as much as I can in just songwriter mode.
Yeah. So are you recording in your own home as well, or do you go to a studio?
I am kind of recording everything here in my living room. I've got a little setup in the corner, and it's nice. It's like it's just one space that I can make extra cozy all the time, and is very conveniently close to my kitchen, so I can just work and snack.
Nice. Have you gotten into any of the other yes, exactly. Have you gotten into any of the other quarantine hobbies? I know a lot of people are making bread and doing all these things. Or is music kind of your main thing?
Making bread seems really daunting. I feel like I've been trying to learn more about recording myself and, doing as much as that as possible, or just kind of learning video stuff now. Especially for this, I'm going to have to shoot all this stuff live and, kind of figure out how to connect what cables go where. So I've been learning more technology kind of stuff, watching a lot of movies, which has been fun. We have a VHS player and we have all these old VHSs. So we're just kind of going through old movies you would have watched as a kid when you're staying home from school.
Oh, that sounds kind of comforting.
Yeah, we've just been watching Beetlejuice, went through all of the Rocky movies. What else? There's just tons of them. There's like a whole little queue of ones we're slowly making our way through.
Nice. Well, the next song you're going to play is something new. It's so new, it's not even on your EP of songs that you've been releasing onto Bandcamp. What can you tell us about Already Lost?
Already Lost is kind of actually more of a keyboard song. Well, I mean, so is Compression. But it's kind of more of an expansion into like a fuller, thicker, richer sound than just straight up rock. Gosh, what else? There's some pedals that I've been trying out, and I feel like I really got into like a Gary Newman phase and was listening to a lot of like 80s new wave and St. Vincent records. And it's kind of inspired me to get a little more in depth with music as opposed to just straight rock band.
That's cool. All right, let's check it out. This is Monica LaPlante performing her new song, Already Lost, and it's here on The Current Sounds Like Home. Hello, if you're just tuning in, this is Sounds Like Home, the Current's virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. I'm Andrea Swensson, host of The Local Show, and that was a brand new song from Monica LaPlante, Already Lost. Monica has been busy recording in her home this quarantine and releasing some of her new music on Bandcamp as an EP that is ongoing. Monica, I was hoping you could tell me a little bit more about the process of releasing new songs in this time. It's so unusual. You know, we don't have live concerts. You can't throw a big release show, but I love that you've just been putting music out there. Tell me about navigating this kind of new reality.
It's kind of freeing in a sense because you're not thinking of a release show. You're not thinking of when you're going to put this out or having a full album. It's just kind of living in the now, and you just go, well, I finished another song, or I'm going to send this off to the band, and this is it. And you just kind of instantly throw it out there, which is way different. It's less planning, but also a lot of just like compartmentalized, like, okay, this is your new song, do something with it. It might not be the newest song for long, but, you know, as long as I'm just keep churning out content, I feel like I'm being productive or, you know, possibly inspiring other people to, you know, work on their own music and release it and kind of share ideas while we're all in lockdown.
Yeah. What kind of interactions are you able to have with your fans and other musicians in the community? I mean, you put a song out on Bandcamp. Are you able to see like who's listening to it, or do you get emails, or how does that work now that we don't all just hang out in bars together?
I feel like I've been on Twitter more than ever now. I feel like, you know, it's kind of made me think about social media interactions and who I'm talking to. At least for recording the songs, I'm tracking as much as I can, but like with the covers for now, I've just been tracking vocals and like a scratch guitar part and then like a quick little drum beat. And then I just email it to the rest of the band, and they all have Logic or GarageBand, and they just record their own tracks and send it back. And it's kind of been a nice way to keep them involved, even though we can't always be in the same room. And, you know, then they can share things too, and they're working on stuff. And it's challenging not to be able to physically talk to people as much. But especially with the shows, we played a show on top of a van. We played a show on top of a roof. So, nice. You know, we invite people to come and stop by briefly and say hi. And in that sense, you know, you're getting like a little bit of a social interaction with everybody.
Wow. So for those who haven't been up to date on this van that's been roaming Northeast Minneapolis hosting bands, can you tell us a little bit about the experience of playing on top of a van for people?
Surprisingly, we got used to it pretty quickly, almost to the point where when we stopped, I was having a harder time keeping my balance. But our friend Stuart, he's got his own warehouse outfit over in Northeast on Washington. And he normally plays in a band called Savage Oral Hotbed. And he's got this giant van that he's rigged to just put a band up there. I did not expect us to all fit up there, but somehow we did. And he streams it live and then stops off at, you know, local spots around town like Grumpy's or the 331. And it surprises people, and people freak out. People run out of their homes. Like, they're like excitedly like chasing the van and everything. And it's kind of cool to be able to bring people like a surprise or joy. And, you know, most people haven't seen live music in a really long time. So, I mean, they don't even have to say anything. You can just see it on their face how excited they are.
That's so awesome. I know I keep fantasizing about like the first show that I'll see once things are getting a little bit more public again, and it's just, yeah, I'm just gonna burst into tears basically.
No, I haven't even seen a live show. I mean, I've seen me, but I don't think I've seen live music at all yet.
I know, it's so hard to know. I mean, everyone's kind of navigating their own decision making about everything, but
It's really like
it's a surreal time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm really curious to know about this last song that you're going to play for us today. It's a cover of a Linda McCartney song. I was not familiar with this song until I found it on your Bandcamp page. Tell me about discovering this song and then adapting it for your band.
I've gone down quite I'm a huge fan of McCartney 2, the album. And I always feel like it's Paul McCartney's kind of weirdest or most, I mean, McCartney 3 is coming out. I'm so excited. And it's just kind of the music that he makes on his own. And it's usually just him by himself getting weird, which is totally inspiring. And the more I delve into it, I was realizing that Linda was doing her own tracks as well. And they just recently re-released on vinyl. She has an album called Wide Prairie, and it's just a compilation of all of her tracks throughout her life. And one that really struck me was The Light Comes From Within. I definitely recommend checking out that whole album. Oh, do you have it, Noah? I have it right here.
Nice.
It's super cool. Do you like this, Gary?
Aww.
He likes it too. But the song specifically, you know, lyrically, it is totally a punk rock song. But it is kind of a calmer, laid back, groovy little song. It's the last thing she wrote before she passed away. And it's kind of like just her last words and her just middle finger to anybody that's ever put her down or put her in a box. And I love it, and it definitely really resonated. I mean, there's a line that says you need complete control and you want to build more towers, and it was rather Trumptopian. Is that a word?
It is now.
And definitely just, it seemed appropriate for the year. And I just wanted to give it another breath of fresh air.
I love that. Oh, well, thanks for helping us discover a deep cut from Linda McCartney. And thank you, Monica, for joining me today. It's so wonderful to talk to you, and I'm so excited that you're able to join us for Sounds Like Home. This is Monica LaPlante doing The Light Comes From Within by Linda McCartney here for us on Sounds Like Home.
Since
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artist performing during the festival is sponsored by Go Athletic Apparel and made possible by Minnesota's Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the current. We are immensely grateful all month long. We're saying thank you with special programmings as part of our month of gratitude. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. This is Sounds Like Home, the Currents virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. This is our fourth installment. We have a great lineup this time around, and I'm so excited to be joined now by an up-and-coming artist. The band is Miloe, and I'm chatting right now with the lead singer, Bobby Kabaya. Hello, Bobby. How's it going?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me, Andrea.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I've been listening to your EP kind of nonstop, so I'm really excited to talk to you about how it came together and your path to being a musician and all of that good stuff. But let's start with a performance. You want to start with the title track to the EP, and then we'll chat a little bit more. Is there anything that you want people to know specifically about the title track, Greenhouse?
This is Greenhouse. It's kind of an ode to summer. I feel like it kind of encompasses the different sounds on the EP and the different themes. I hope they enjoy it.
All right, I'm sure they will. This is Miloe performing on Sounds Like Home.
When it's all coming apart, I know you'll still be by my side. Easier days I've had, easier days. I know you'll still be by my side. Heavy, it's all feeling too heavy, and you're looking right through me. Can't you see that I'm waiting? I've got to go my own way. You've been feeling your own pain, but when you look and you see that I'm falling too. What's wrong with my bed? Can't seem to rest. Keeping it stored up in my head. What's wrong with your mouth? Can't seem to express what we've got stored up in this house. Heavy, it's all feeling too heavy, and you're looking right through me. Can't you see that I'm waiting? I've got to go my own way. You've
If you're just joining us, this is Sounds Like Home, the Currents virtual festival showcasing Minnesota music. I'm Andrea Swensson, host of the local show, and you just heard a song by Miloe. That was the title track to the new EP called Greenhouse. Miloe's debut EP just came out in October, and I'm chatting right now with the lead singer of the band, Bobby. Bobby, I would love to hear about your process towards becoming a musician, towards forming this band. I've been following you mostly online for the last couple of years, and I just love your music. So tell me about becoming an artist. What's your journey?
Yeah, so I grew up around a lot of musicians because my parents were really, really involved in the church with like performing in choirs and performing outside of church too. So I grew up within that scene a little bit and just kind of having different musicians to kind of look up to. And I moved to the U.S. When I was 8 years old, and I became a band kid. So I picked up trumpet, and then I was a theater kid, but I was also doing rock band stuff after school. And then towards the end of high school, I put out the first Milo EP on SoundCloud. I was listening to a lot of Jose Gonzalez at the time and like lo-fi music, so it was kind of a bit of a blend of different influences, with a little bit of Congolese music too within like the guitar work. And I've just been super inspired by the local scene, and I've just been playing with my favorite musicians, and it's been going pretty well so far.
So I was really interested to hear your EP. It is so calming. I actually listened to it on election day on repeat. It was one of my like trying to calm
Oof.
myself down soundtracks. And I know that you emerged here out of the all ages scene and playing a lot of basement shows. I've seen pictures of you playing a
Hmm.
lot of basement shows, and this isn't really the kind of music that I would normally associate with coming out of like a basement punk show. Can you tell me a little bit about that scene and how that might have impacted your approach to music or your sound?
Yeah, no, that scene has been very impactful. So a lot of my earlier music was even more folky and chill, and I've been I think this EP has been kind of a reaction to playing all these basement shows and kind of trying to bring in energy to these songs that are uh, kind of start out as like very chill and calming. I'm glad that it could help out on election day because that was a bit of a tough day. Um, but yeah, I think it just comes from you naturally leaning to something that's more chill and folky. But then when you bring that live, you're forced to kind of add more energy. So I feel like the EP is a bit of energy infused into music that would normally be more chill.
That makes sense. So I'm a little removed myself from the all ages scene. I used to be very involved in it. We don't have to get into how many years it's been since that was, but I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about the community that you found of teenagers, high schoolers, and college students coming together at these kind of DIY performances.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible because the Twin Cities doesn't have a lot of major venues that that take all ages crowds, and so we've been forced to kind of create our own scene and our own network of different venues and shows that people can attend. And I feel like Minneapolis specifically is so artistically inclined because we spend so much time inside. So a lot of young people are always up to making different kinds of art, and we've really had to build our own scene, which I think is something that strengthens it. I think it's something that's really solid because a lot of music is always coming out of here, and we're able to do it on our own. So we have a little bit of an edge over other cities, I feel like.
I definitely get that vibe for sure. Well, we're going to hear another couple of songs from the new EP, and then we'll chat a little bit more. I want to get into the backstory of just the specific release as well. So we'll
Mhm.
chat about that in a few minutes. But we're going to hear Winona next, which was the first single off the EP. Can you tell us about this song?
This song is about just wanting to make things right with people that you care about, and it's just a good time. I hope that it makes people want to dance.
I hope so too. We could use a little movement, especially right now. All right,
For
this
sure. It's
is
getting kind of
Milo.
cold.
Yes, it is. Yeah, do a little chair dance, maybe even stand up, move around. This is Milo performing for you on Sounds Like Home.
I fell down, tripping over mistakes I can't see. You'll find out it catches up before you know it. All I know is simply as it goes. It's simply as we know. It's simply as we go where we go. We go where we go. We go where we go. Double seated, my mind reader. Cut the corner in half, 'cause I need her. Careless driver, my Winona rider. I'm taking it back, I wanna find her. We go where we go. We go where we go. Hasn't rained in so long. Pleasant pain when you're gone. Hasn't rained in so long. Pleasant pains, pleasant pain. Roller coaster took me on, I didn't even know her. Took me high, now I just want the closure. No one's got enough for me. View's getting closer. Do us right, I know you got my number. You can hurt, we need to see each other. No one's calling after me. I said what I said, and you might change your mind. You're set on your mindset, but I'll waste my time. You got cold and I'm sober, you might change your mind. You're set on your mindset, but I'll waste my time. Yeah. Woo. Why even bother when I'm just sitting here alone? When I could travel on my own instead of picturing your face. Why won't you talk to me? It's gray sky as far as I can see. You are my only remedy, so I'll just sit and waste my time. Oh. You're set on your mindset, but I'll waste my time. You got cool and I'm so, but you might change your mind. You're set on your mindset, but I'll waste my time.
If you're just tuning in, this is Sounds Like Home, the current celebration of Minnesota music. It's a virtual festival. This is our fourth installment, and we just saw a performance by Miloe. That was 2 songs off the new EP Greenhouse. We just heard Change Your Mind, and before that, the single Winona. And I am chatting right now with the lead singer, Bobby. So, Bobby, tell me more about setting out to record this debut EP, because I can hear such an evolution in your sound just between what you had put out on SoundCloud and then this collection of 5 songs. So tell me about refining it and producing it into an official release.
Yeah, so these songs started out kind of towards the end of 2019. I usually start out most of the songs as like demos that I make back home. I do a lot of work in like GarageBand and Logic, and my dad kind of helped me get started in that. So they all started out as demos, and then a really good local producer named Caleb Hins, him and I have kind of known each other for a few years, and I came to him with the songs, and he brought them to Jake and Nathan from Hippocampus, and they're all into it. So we went into the studio in January of this year and kind of just used the demos as blueprints for the songs and built on top of them and re-recorded things, and that's how the EP came together.
Very cool. Were you working over in Northeast Minneapolis at the studio where they like to work?
Yeah, that was the studio. It was BJ Burton's studio. It was such a cool space.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's even more intriguing now to know that it was recorded in the winter, because as you mentioned at the beginning, this has such a summery feel to it. That must have been intentional. How did you keep that vibe up in the cold winter months as you were recording?
I think it was I wanted to contrast the first project, which felt very calm and wintry. That was also put out in like November of like 2017 or something. So I wanted the projects to kind of contrast each other. I tried to kind of look at everything that I'm putting out from like a bigger point of view. And so that was always the intention, and the summer in general just like brings more energy and life to music, and that's kind of what we were trying to do, translating the older songs in these basements. So it just all kind of came together that way.
Well, it's really a beautiful release. As I said, I find it
Thank you.
very relaxing, but it's also your lyrics and your voice are so captivating, and I'm really excited to see what you do next. What do you have on the horizon? What are your visions for the future?
Yeah, so today, actually, we just released a collaboration with an artist called Cape Town. I'm really excited about that one. He is an amazing artist from the UK, and it's just really cool to be able to work with people remotely, even with the limitations of COVID. I've also just been working more in GarageBand throughout quarantine and just exploring musically, and so I'm definitely excited to see what happens next year in working with different kinds of producers and kind of seeing what happens.
Cool. Well, keep us in the loop. I can't wait to hear what you do next.
Definitely
Let us know
will.
when you have new songs out.
We
And
will,
thanks
yeah.
so much for being part of the festival. We're just so glad that you could take part in Sounds Like Home, and thanks for delivering these performances. It's just so wonderful to get to know you a little bit. So we're going to end on another song from the EP, Everything That Should Go. Do you want the audience to know anything specific about this one?
This song came from a very emo place, and I hope that they can relate to the lyrics. And I'm really proud of that one.
All right. Well, thank you again, Bobby. It was really great to talk to you. And this is
Thanks so much for
Milo
having me.
performing everything. Yes, of course. This is Milo performing everything that should go, and it's here on Sounds Like Home.
Bobby's got a way to lock himself away. Man's got too much pride to let you look inside. Milo's gotta stand, oh please, please go to plan. Backpack feeling heavy, my heart kinda heavy. She got sick, got me worried, how time flies in a hurry. Well, I'm the doctor today, I fix it on you, pray. I put it all in my hand, I wanna be more of a man. So I put it all in my hand, I put it all in my hand. Maybe if I can get this by sundown, then all the feelings will run down with everything that should go, should go. Maybe if I can get this by sundown, then all the feelings will run down with everything that should go, should go. Yeah. Baby honey, how we feeling? See your face, so I'm dreaming, getting closer to the ceiling. I've been lucky and seen it. When I'm out of breath, I'm taking shelter in your heart. We've had this feeling from the start. We'll have this feeling when we vibe. He's got a way to lock himself away. Man's got too much pride to let you look inside. Mine's gotta stand, oh please, please go to plan. Backpack feeling heavy, my heart kinda heavy. Maybe if I can get this by sundown, and all the feelings will run down with everything that should go, should go. Maybe if I can get this by sundown, and all the feelings will run down with everything that should go, should go.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artist performing during the festival is sponsored by Go Athletic Apparel and made possible by Minnesota's Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the current. We are immensely grateful all month long. We're saying thank you with special programmings as part of our month of gratitude. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to Sounds Like Home. This is our fourth installment of our virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. I'm Andrea Swensson, host of the local show. It's always such a joy to connect with artists. And right now, I'm going to connect with an artist who I just talked to a little while ago because she participated in the Me Too Minneapolis compilation that just came out this fall. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that some more in addition to other things that she's been up to. Please give a warm welcome to Tina Schlieske. You know her from Tina and the B-Sides and Genital Panic and also as a solo artist. Hey Tina, how's it going?
Hey Andrea, it's going good. Thank you. Yes, much better now.
I hear ya. Oh, it's so great to have you participating in the festival today. And as I mentioned, we'll be getting into more details about your participation in the Me Too Minneapolis project. And I also want to talk to you about your streaming concerts that you've been putting on. I know you've been doing a lot of live performances online. And it's kind of a new ball game for a lot of artists, so I'm excited to talk to you about that too. But let's get things going with a performance. You wanted to play the song "Losing Again." Is there anything you want to say to set up the performance of this song?
Well, this is a new song. I haven't released it yet, so to say. I've been playing it live quite a while, but it's one of those songs that so it's a new song, and every time I play it, I'm trying to even, edit it more and get more of a feel for how I want it to be. And so all you guys are going to be my guinea pigs once again for this song.
All right, some brand new Tina Schlieske, and it's here on Sounds Like Home.
I think I know who I need to be now. I think I know what I need to do. I think you know that I've been the only one that's ever been true to you. I Said love can be lost in the air. I keep on searching for something that never seems to begin. Just when I'm certain I'm losing again. I'm losing
That's Tina Schlieske performing here at Sounds Like Home, the Currents virtual festival showcasing Minnesota music. That was a brand new song from Tina, and I'm so excited to hear that from you. So you've been doing a lot of this virtual performing. I know that you sometimes have a small band with you, sometimes you're performing solo. What has this experience been like for you to adapt to the virtual space?
It's been hard. I mean, it's such a interesting, and I'm sure other musicians feel the same way that I do. It's such an interesting to have your, like your craft and like how you do it is so much has to do with audience participation and the energy of the audience and to be performing and having like nothing, it's just in this vacuum. But it's kind of what I'm scared about is that I'm getting a little bit used to it now, which is really weird, because I wonder now what's going to be like when all of a sudden we do perform in front of people again, because it's definitely the readjustment has been very odd. And but at the same time, like as always, you just try to look for the good in everything. And I think as for someone that's working on songs and everything like that, it's you kind of like, even though there's nobody there, you kind of know if that was a bad performance, a good performance, all that kind of stuff. You just don't have the people there to feed off of. But it's been interesting. I don't like it, I have to say.
I know everyone's just trying to make the best of it, like you said, but I'm wondering, are you the kind of artist that can try to interact with fans as you're performing? Like, do you check the comments between songs, or does that interrupt your flow?
We try to, but it's very difficult because like I'm using both my iPad and my phone that I can't while recording. So I rely on my sister, like she has, and then there's like, my girlfriend Justine occasionally will like yell out like, oh, so-and-so wants to hear this or that. So I would like to try to do more of that. But sometimes I feel like, it's so hard because like I'm such a traditionalist in my way that I perform. I don't want people to think that all of a sudden I'm stopping my performance and I'm reading the comments. It just feels kind of weird, but I know that helps. I've done a couple like here in my studio space here, and I can see the comments as I'm playing on my computer. And so it's kind of nice, and it's kind of weird to interact with people during that. So I do like it. I wish I had some big screen while we're doing our live stream shows that I can interact a little bit more, but yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Still learning.
Yeah. Well, let's get another song in, and then we can chat some more. So you're going to play a B-side song, Barricade. What made you want to play this one today?
Because I think probably I know that when we were just chatting just very quickly before we started recording this about just being a parent right now and being what that means with now the new administration we have coming in, and what these last 4 years personally felt for me as a parent. And so this is a song that I wrote for my daughter. And so I felt like, I just feel like this need about like, now it feels a little bit easier being a parent and explaining decency and character and things that are important in the world. And so it just kind of reminded me of that. So this is a song that I wrote for my daughter called Barricade.
If you're just joining us, this is Sounds Like Home, the Currents virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. And right now I'm joined by Tina Schlieske, and that was a Tina and the B-side song, Barricade. Coming up in just a little bit, Tina is going to play the song that she wrote for the new compilation called Me Too Minneapolis, or hashtag Me Too MPLS. There are some incredible artists featured on this compilation, including Tina. And we did a big group interview a few weeks back talking to, it was 13 or 14 of the 17 artists that we managed to get all together on one Zoom. So if you want to know more about all the other artists on that compilation, definitely check that out. But Tina, you know, you and I had talked a couple years ago. You came and visited me at the Current, and I was kind of jokingly saying this is part one of maybe a 10-part interview because your life is so fascinating and your time here in the Twin Cities scene. But I could sense at that time, and, you know, these past few years, as you were saying, have been so intense, but maybe that you've had a little bit of reflection and you've gained a little bit of distance to some of your experiences that you had coming up in the scene. And I'm just wondering, you know, now that you've participated in this Me Too compilation with artists of all different ages and experience levels, like, where are you at in your own kind of processing and understanding of the experiences that you had as a young person entering Minneapolis music?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's, you know, it's interesting on one hand, you know, it's my birthday today and I turned 54. Well, and so, you know, and as always, you do it in a birthday, you reflect, you know, and you're hoping that you're growing and you're being the best person you can. And sometimes I look back about, you know, especially like growing up in the Minneapolis music scene and a lot of the things that may have like happened or not happened, you kind of, you look back at it, it's like, I just feel like my head was down and I was working as hard as I could. But if I could change anything, I would change I feel like as being a woman in a primarily a man's industry and in a man's world in the music business, that I wish that I was less apologetic for all the times that guys would have made me feel uncomfortable or maybe said an inappropriate thing, or, you know, those are the things that I wish that when I look back in my life and I think I wish that I would have just been a little bit more, you know, calling out certain situations that I allowed to happen. And, you know, due to the ego in the room, due to the possibility of it maybe having a reflection on my career. And I wish that I would have been a little bit stronger in those stances. But saying that, there's a couple times where I was almost too strong that I know that it didn't do. I think that, I mean, I don't want to assume anything, but sometimes I think that if I was a little bit the game, a little bit more, things might have been a little bit differently for what people might call as success, you know, in life and in your career. I mean, the one thing that I know now, being older, that what I thought was success back when I was 20 and even in my 30s is so different from what I call success now in my 50s. And, but it was a struggle being a woman that didn't want to be part of that scene or part of the, you know, kind of playing the dowdy woman and just letting things, I guess, you know, putting myself in a position that it might have been easier for me to get a little bit more ahead, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I would judge myself harshly for that. And it wasn't anything that I regretted, but, you know, it's interesting. I don't even know if I answered your question because it's such a weird, sorry.
It was kind
you know,
of a doozy of a question.
Yeah. I hope I answered it in some way.
You did. So your track on the Me Too Minneapolis compilation is very rooted in current events and Harvey Weinstein's downfall in the last now 3 years of this Me Too movement. Can you tell me a little bit about the process of writing that song for the compilation?
Yeah, it was sort of, you know, I was listening to a lot of, you know, to try to get inspired and to see how I wanted to approach the song. Was just a lot of other different women. And I remember one of my favorite songs is by Luscious. I think it's Lucius, sorry. oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the song right now because I'm a little whatever. But they wrote a song that was, oh no, sorry, it's not even Lucius. It's First Aid Kit. Sorry.
Oh.
Gosh. Edit that one out. But First Aid Kit did this song, and I can't remember what it's titled right now, but my mind is like off. Because I had a birthday lunch cocktail, so I'm kind of sorry. Anyway, it was a great song. It's one of my favorite. It's how they wrote about that issue. And I was just researching more about the hashtag Me Too movement, and I came across Jessica Mann's letter that she read to Harvey Weinstein in the courtroom, and I found it so moving and so brave. But this woman, the sadness of it, that, when and I've known a few women that have experienced, pretty serious sexual assault, and the braveness that they have to carry for the rest of their lives, and that that's with them forever. I mean, nothing's ever going to change that. And how you go from there is, to me, is such it's so courageous, and it's brave, and it's heartbreaking, but yet it's encouraging. I mean, there's like so much into it, and it's also that that when a woman is trying to be successful in whatever career she does, and if it's mainly controlled by men, that line that you play, that you want to play the game with the guys, and that all of a sudden you find yourself in a very scary situation. And more times than not, unfortunately, men will take advantage of that situation, and that the woman now is faced with, how does she get out of it? And then a lot of times the result is not, the outcome is not the best. So it's recognizing that sometimes women want to be successful, and their drive, and how that can be misconstrued into something, whether it be the talk, the gossip at the water, or the getting coffee or whatever, that people like saying, oh, that, she's, they think one way of her, and then the boss thinks another, and then she just wants to be successful. And it's a difficult situation in that. Yeah. So I was just trying to write from that perspective.
Well, we'll let you take it away with this new song that you've written. Once again, you can find it on the Me Too Minneapolis compilation. It's called What Would You Pay, Dear Harvey? Tina Schlieske, thank you so much for joining us for Sounds Like Home. It's been so fun talking to you.
Thanks, Andrea. Thank you so much.
No one likes a woman who just wants it all. Don't you know there is a price to pay? And it will all be my fault. But I should have seen it coming. This isn't sexual assault. This is me just climbing the ladder. This is me getting what I deserve. But here's the one with his invisible gun that he keeps pointed to my head. So when I finally give in and the guilt and shame settles in, my ambition was so easily misread. But I should have kept my mouth shut. I should have never said a thing. But this body that I live in has become unsafe for me. never goes away. It'll be with me forever. To you this was consensual, and I just played a role, but you're just another asshole who just wanted to be in control. How much would you pay for this life you stole away from me? How much would you pay for this life you stole away from me? The lives of all the others. What is your price to pay? This will be with me forever. It never goes away.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artist performing during the festival is sponsored by Go Athletic Apparel and made possible by Minnesota's Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the current. We are immensely grateful all month long. We're saying thank you with special programmings as part of our month of gratitude. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here. Thank you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sounds Like Home, the fourth installment of our virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. I'm Andrea Swensson, host of the local show, excited to be back connecting with artists throughout the state of Minnesota, finding out what they've been up to this year and hearing some live performances of new music. I am very excited to connect right now with Lupin, the new solo project led by Jake Lupin of Hippocampus. Hey Jake, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Well, you have a new record
Accurate.
out, your first solo album called Lupin. It was released on October 9th, and we're going to hear a few songs from it today. But for those who maybe didn't catch our chat earlier in the summer talking about this, what can you tell us about how long you've been working on this album and what we need to know about it?
I started the album right after Hippocampus finished her album Bambi. Me and BJ kind of used the gaps on that touring cycle, which is like insanely long, to work on this album. I've had it done for about like a year, and just kind of been working on content for it. Yeah, I'm just stoked to finally put it out. I've been sitting on this music for a minute.
Wow. Well, we'll get into the music and then we'll chat a little bit more about how you've been doing. The first song is KO Kid. Is there anything we should know about this song before you play it?
I think just that the live version is like way more energetic, and I love what all these musicians have done with it.
All right. This is Lupin on Sounds Like Home.
KO King gon' give it up, KO King gon' shut it, KO King gon' give it up, KO King gon' shut it, KO King gon' give it up, KO King gon' shut it, KO King gon' give it up, give it up. There are no excuses for empty speed. Say a lover in the pool, the things that he'll expecting. Feel so guilty when it all comes back to me. Comes back to me. So busy when it all comes back to me. Comes back to me.
That is Lupin performing the song K.O. Kid from the new album, also called Lupin, that was released on October 9th. It's the first solo record from Jake Lupin of Hippocampus. Jake, I am so curious to know more about the creation of this album and specifically how you're using so many different voices on the album and really experimenting with the sounds that you can create vocally. I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about that process of finding these voices and what that does for your creative process to communicate in this way.
Sure. I got really into production when I was making this record. I had recorded a lot of vocals by myself for both of the Hippocampus records, but this was the first time that I really felt comfortable kind of manning like a full session in Pro Tools and writing kind of directly in the DAW. So overall, my process was a lot more experimental. It was a lot more electronic. And I'd always been into vocal manipulation. BJ Burton kind of like introduced me to that during the Hippo processes. as you could hear in his work, like with like Lowe or Justin Vernon, where he just kind of, format shifts their voice or harmonizes or whatever. So with this record, I think to keep it like fresh song to song, I wanted to kind of manipulate my voice more than I had in the past. The whole kind of goal of the record is to make some like freaky future music. So I thought messing with my voice a little bit would kind of take it into that space.
Well, we are living in the freaky future right now, so I appreciate that. I was curious, when it comes to singing in a voice that might not sound like your own, do you think it frees you up to maybe say things that you wouldn't say if you were singing normally?
Yeah, for example, like auto-tune, I find can be a really good tool to like write melodies with, because sometimes I'll kind of like mock up vocal lines in auto-tune in the way that it'll kind of like affect it or change the melody based on the key that you pick. You could kind of invent some really great melodies. And also you could just really get in touch with like the vocal line that you're writing, as opposed to thinking like, oh, I don't like sound very good or I'm not on pitch. It's like auto-tune can just like lock it in. You're like, oh, that melody's cooler than I thought. I'm just maybe not singing it on pitch or something like that. But most of the time I record clean and I'll kind of like affect it later. I rarely ever like sing through effects. Since I've been doing these live performances, I've actually I bought a vocal pedal where I could kind of do some of these effects live. And that's been interesting to kind of like sing through that. It does change the way you sing, but at least with like auto-tune, it can be a really helpful tool.
Yeah. One thing that I've kind of understood more as I've talked to more artists that use vocal manipulation is that you do still have to be a talented singer. And I know that you're a talented singer, that you have an incredible range. And I've seen you perform over the years and always been blown away by your voice. And I'm just curious to know a little bit more about the technical part of it. Like you do, as you're saying, you're actually singing naked into the program and then manipulating it. Like how does that work exactly?
That's a great question. I mean, I guess like people have heard my voice like raw so much that with this record, I just wanted to differentiate it from what I had done in the past. I mean, I'm not really afraid that people will like hear me using autotune and be like, oh, that guy can't sing. That's why he's using autotune. Because you do, like you said, you do have to have a good voice for it to like read properly. But I think like affecting a voice for me is just about like creating a sonic palette. Like in production, creating sonic palettes are very important that kind of differentiate what you're doing from what you've done in the past or other songs on the record. So with each song on this record, I kind of wanted a different vibe and a different vocal tone for each. And I also wanted the voice to kind of match the other instrumentation and what was going on, which is just like acoustic instruments kind of like nuked and like torn apart and put back together. So like in order to make it sound natural, I had to kind of do the same thing to my voice.
Nice. I like that description. Well, I think it's a very captivating album. As you say, there's a lot of different feelings and textures that emerge, and it's just wonderful. We're going to hear another song, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how it's been going ever since you released this record. The new album is Lupin. It came out on October 9th, and we're going to hear the song Lazy. Is there anything else you want us to know about this one?
This version of Lazy is quite a bit different. The version on the record is really electronic and really choppy. But the way that we're performing it today is more the way I wrote it, which is kind of around this bass riff. So it sounds a bit different. It's very like late 80s. It's very Tears for Fears, but I like it.
All right. I'm excited. Well, this is Lupin and performing on our series Sounds Like Home.
doesn't get better. I always thought that it would. I asked my parents if they thought I was good. I don't know now. I don't know anymore. I used to think that I did. Now it seems like I'm out of my mind. And so it goes. Lost myself, lost control. Should probably go back to what I know. I could paint a picture, catch an image in time, moody purple, dripping paint down the sides. I'll stay distracted. I'll keep myself awake tonight. Forgot to water the plants again. Forgot to take care of all that's mine. And so it goes. Lost myself, lost control. Should probably go back to what I know.
That is Lupin performing for us here on Sounds Like Home, the current celebration of local music, a virtual festival. This is the fourth time that we've done this, and it's always been really cool to connect with musicians who normally would come into the studio and visit, and it's been really fun to connect with people virtually, connecting into a lot of practice spaces and home studios and that kind of thing to see how everyone is doing. So that song was called Lazy, and Jake, I don't think it'd be very fair to use that word to describe how you've been this year because you have this new album coming out, and I know you've been busy in the studio. What can you tell us about what you've been up to in 2020?
I've just been working on a lot of different music. I've been writing a lot with Hippocampus. We have like a record that's really taken shape that I'm really excited about. We did a couple live streams at First Avenue, which were strange being in that room and not having people in it, but it was fun. Have a couple live streams with this project. I've been working on production stuff with some other artists. So I've been staying busy. I'm just trying to like write a lot and use this time to kind of like learn and get better at production because I haven't really had this amount of time to focus on anything other than playing shows in like 7 years. So it's definitely weird not playing music live. It's hard to release a record and not see how it's working in the world. You know, it's like all you have to judge it by are sort of like Spotify numbers or YouTube numbers or whatever, which are just don't feel the same as like being in a town and seeing kids like scream your lyrics. So So it's strange, but I've definitely been trying to work as hard as I can to get better during all this.
I can't even imagine for how busy Hippocampus was, what it was like to basically come screeching to a halt. But I'm so glad that you tried out the live streaming show format. And you mentioned that it was at First Avenue, which hasn't been doing a ton of events. I think you might have been one of the first to actually get in there and do something like this. Tell me more about what that was like.
Yeah, we were the first that had been in there since shows ended. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, like we pulled up and they immediately like took our temperature when we got in there, and everyone was wearing masks, and we brought a camera crew in there. Yeah, and it was just crazy. It was crazy talking to Sonia, and just kind of, feeling that sense of community again. That was like, oh man, this exists. Like this is a person I miss. I miss hanging out at First Ave and getting a drink and seeing bands. And it was definitely sad. I mean, it was a crazy feeling. It was so close to being a show. It was like so close, but the entire time it just felt really weird. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it gave me a little bit of a fix, but nothing compares to the real thing. It's kind of depressing.
Yeah. No, I'm like, can you describe it in further detail? Like, what did it smell like? What did the floor feel like? I miss it so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Surprisingly clean. The floors weren't sticky. That's a bad sign when the floors in a venue aren't sticky. Something's wrong.
Right. Right. A little too clean. Well, hopefully we can get back in there and mess it up soon.
Exactly. Just pour beer on the floor.
I'm sure they would appreciate that. Well, it's so wonderful to talk to you and connect with you, even if we have to do it over the screens. And thank you so much for participating in our festival. We really appreciate it. We have time for another performance, and this is a song that I know has been in rotation on The Current. Is there anything you want to tell us about May?
I don't know. May's just kind of, it's like the most true banger on the record. So again, it was really fun to interpret it with these guys. They all crush. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Jake. It was really lovely to talk to you.
Great to talk to you too. Take care.
All right, here's Lupin performing May from their new album, and it's here on Sounds Like Home.
Smoke, I wear it like rotational cologne. still think of you. I still think of you. Gone so far, and I still think of you. I still think of you. It lasted longer than you had expected, but you're when I thought it'd be. I always think of when I'm pretending. I always think of this killing me. It's killing me. It's killing me. It's
Yeah, big time. Big time.
Cool. Better. Good job.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artist performing during the festival is sponsored by Go Athletic Apparel and made possible by Minnesota's Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the current. We are immensely grateful all month long. We're saying thank you with special programmings as part of our month of gratitude. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here. Thank you.